And joining us via Zoom to discuss this is a legal practitioner, Jiti Ogunye. Good to have you join us.
Yes, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So there seemed to be controversy now around the statement, over the statement made by the president on grazing routes in the country. As it stands, you are a legal practitioner. As it stands, do we have a uniform or a national policy on grazing routes in the country?
There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. At best, what the president was referring to, or what he referenced, was a grazing route arrangement in the northern part of the country before Nigeria was broken into 12 states in 1967, and thereafter 21 states, and now 36 states. So you can no longer be talking about the sanctity of that grazing route as at now. So there has never been a time the entire country, both the northern and southern part of the country, had designated grazing routes all over the country, extending from possibly Kara Namoda to Port Harcourt and Maiduguri to Lagos. There has never been such a thing, in the whole country. So what the president was therefore referencing when he was talking about a gazette that he had asked the Attorney General to dust up was no more than that grazing route arrangement in the northern part of the country. And even for the northern part of the country, our submission would be that since that northern part of the country have been broken into states which under the Land Use Act, which is a national legislation applicable to all the states in the country, are the respective owners of their own territories or lands. And the governors of those states, being the trustees of those lands, it is clear to me and to any person that you cannot have that grazing route being reestablished across state boundaries in a way and manner it was prior to the creations of this state. So I think that the president got it wrong. The president ought to be assisted to embrace the future.
And that's where the challenge is, that future, because now we're seeing that some of the governors have now moved to ban open grazing. The southern governors have moved to ban open grazing, but some governors have started sending the bills to their state houses of assemblies. What potential points of conflict could arise from this, especially when you also look at the standpoint of the president on this?
There can be no conflict. The conflict is being invented. I've just told us that the federal government saved the land at the federal capital territory, does not have direct authority over any state land, over any land in any states. That's the state of the law in Nigeria. So that even if the federal government were to plan to establish any federal presence in any state, federal project in any state, be it school, be it university, police station, military formation, they will have to request land from the state government.
And this does not, let me quickly, because I said that because this does not directly infringe on the freedom of movement of anyone in the country, does it?
Freedom of movement of human beings. I've stated this before. The fundamental human rights in the Constitution in Chapter 4 thereof are called fundamental human rights. They are not called fundamental animal rights now. They are not called fundamental cattle rights. I mean, those who are clinging to a pastoral past where itinerant pastoralists or those who are dealing in animal husbandry will be moving from one state to the other is totally Stone Age primitivity. It's antediluvian and it's even provocative. The president, and I'm using my word carefully, should be encouraged to embrace the future and not cling to the past. Everybody is talking about ranching. Do you ranch and at the same time be talking about grazing routes?
And that's a challenge here because
the federal government was before now was talking about Ruga. Even if it's Ruga,
exactly the policy. Just allow me to comment. The policy consistency is also a challenge here. But another challenge is that we haven't seen any sort of collaboration between the state government and the federal government on a clear policy as to how to deal with the header farmers clashes. Talk to us about what, because the president seemed to have pushed this back to the states in that interview he had. So talk to us about what the provisions of the Constitution are in terms of the powers given to the state government when it comes to security.
Well, I heard the president talking about security being primarily the responsibility of the state government. That's not true. That's not true under the Constitution. Because if you look at the exclusive legislative list, it's only the federal government that can legislate, meaning the National Assembly, that can legislate and control the executive branch of government now at the federal level. The army, the police, the security agencies that are the armed forces. No state government can. I've heard a lot of people talking about security vote for the states. That's even a distortion. Here is the argument. You are not allowing states to create their own police. States are not creating their own security outfits. And if they do, they now be wondering how do they arm these outfits? Because firearms and weapons and all, it's only the federal government that can legislate on this and then deal with that, right? So you are now saying, yes, you are not the one who has created the police force in your state, but because they operate in your state, be using your scarce resources in your state to fend for the police, to kill them, as the Lagos state government has done recently. If you look at it, that's even a misappropriation of funds, because what that means is that a state government is fending for a federal government entity, is fending for an institution that has not been created by state law. That can be challenged as being unconstitutional.
And we just, I guess that's why there has to be some level of collaboration, or a meeting point on all of these issues between the federal and state government. I'm afraid we do have to leave it there. Legal practitioner Jiti Ogunye, thanks for talking to us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.